Welcome everybody to another episode of Let's Make Dinner, your audio library of amazing dinner recipes you can always get on the table. I'm your host, Susie Weinrich. What's up everybody? We have a great recipe today that is going to be perfect for all of your grilling. If you're listening to this in real time, it's starting to transition to fall and a little bit cooler weather. And so that's when I love to get out and get behind my grill. Plus, you add football season in there and it's just a great mix. So today we are going to make a grilled tri-tip that is marinated and served with a mustard butter. You're going to love this one. The nice thing is that this is fancy enough for like a weekend dinner or serving to guests, but it's simple enough on the grill to make during the week. Let's talk a little bit about what a tri-tip is. So a tri-tip is a cut of beef, and it's going to be usually around like 3 pounds per cut, per piece. And it's going to be kind of big, and it's going to be in the shape of a triangle. And that is a tri-tip. Now, I think you can also get tri-tip steaks, but for this recipe, we're using an entire tri-tip. We're going to marinate it, and then we're going to talk about how to slice it, because tri-tip comes actually with 2 separate grains, and with any cut of beef, you want to make sure you're cutting against the grain so that you can actually chew it. If you cut beef or steak with the grain, it's going to be incredibly chewy. If you happen to fall in love with the tri-tip, I also have a wonderful recipe for a braised tri-tip with a red wine glaze, and I will link that in the show notes for you. We're going to go over a lot of tips and tricks with this recipe, but we're going to talk about most of them while we're going through the actual recipe. So we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. When you bring your tri-tip home, usually there's going to be one side that has a very large fat cap, and unless you bought it already trimmed, what you want to do is remove the majority of that fat cap, and then sometimes underneath that fat cap, there's going to be some silver skin. First, to remove the fat cap, you want to just grab at one of the 3 points, grab that fat cap, and take a very sharp knife and slide it under, and then just keep working all the way up as you peel that fat cap back. Now, underneath that fat cap, if there's some cloudy parts or shiny parts, that's probably silver skin. And silver skin is something that you will not be able to cook down or chew through. So do your best to get rid of that. What I like to do is slip the tip of a really sharp knife just right in between the silver skin and the meat, and then start to peel it away. And usually that works really well. There are some online videos on YouTube that show how to get rid of silver skin really easily. So you can search on there for visual tips on how to do that. Now, once you have all of that removed, what I like to do is lay out some large sheets of plastic wrap. Pop that tri-tip on top of there, because we're going to marinate the tri-tip and then wrap it up really tight in that plastic wrap. For the marinade, you want to mix together in just a little small bowl 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 2 garlic cloves that are just chopped up roughly, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, or you could use regular paprika here, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 1 teaspoon each of brown sugar, kosher salt, and coarse ground black pepper. Give that a really good stir, and then you're going to coat the entire tri-tip with that marinade, and then wrap it up really well with that plastic wrap. Then just pop it in the fridge for, you could do 8 hours up to 24 hours, whatever you have time for. Now you want to make the mustard butter that you will use for serving, and it only has 3 ingredients. You need 6 tablespoons of salted butter that's softened at room temperature, 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. So you just want to blend that all together just with a fork or a spoon, or you could even use a mixer. And then you're going to scoop that out onto a large sheet of plastic wrap. Shape it into kind of like a 1-inch log, and then wrap that plastic wrap around it and twist the ends so it's just enclosed and it just looks like a log of butter. You can pop that in the fridge and it will be good for a week, 2 weeks, until you're ready to use it. So now it's actually time to grill your tri-tip. So you want to set your grill to have direct heat and an indirect heat side. And you want to set your grill up for high heat temperature. While your grill is warming up, you want to go ahead and remove the tri-tip from the fridge and just allow it to stand at room temperature for at least about 30 minutes. And this is called tempering, and it's just warming up or bringing to room temperature a large cut of meat so that it cooks more evenly on the grill. So once the grill is ready, you're going to start that tri-tip over direct heat for about 5 minutes per side on a covered grill. Now you'll notice that your tri-tip is in, like a triangle. And so there's one smaller little tail point. When you position your tri-tip on the grill, position it so that that little tail is closer to the indirect heat side, because that little tip will cook through way faster than the big part of the tri-tip. Now, after you've grilled it over that direct heat for 5 minutes per side, now we're going to move the tri-tip to the indirect heat side, and this is where you want to cook to temperature, not time. So the last time that I made the tri-tip, it only took about 8 minutes on the indirect side to come to 135 degrees Fahrenheit at its thickest point, which will be about a medium rare to medium rare plus cut of beef. So you want to make sure that you're kind of watching. It could take anywhere from 5 minutes up to 15 minutes on the indirect side to get to the temperature that you want. Now, once it's done and it's at the temperature you want to bring that tri-tip in and then cut 2 large, like 1-inch slices of that mustard butter and allow it just to melt over the top of that tri-tip while it rests. Now, this is the part that's going to be hard to explain. Verbally, it's kind of a visual thing. So when you were trimming your tri-tip, you noticed that it had kind of 2 different grains. The grain starts at one tip of the tri-tip and then kind of fans out. When you're cutting, what I like to do is start up at that point where the grain starts, and on the diagonal, cut it against the grain. And then as you're moving closer to where the grain starts to straighten out, you're going to start to turn your knife so that you're always cutting against the grain all the way to the bottom. And that will ensure you have super tender and juicy slices of tri-tip. When you serve this, you want to serve it with some mustard butter slices on the side and make sure that the steak is still nice and hot so that mustard butter will just melt over top. One tri-tip that's, 2 to 3 pounds is going to serve probably about 4 or 5 people. Some great side dishes to think about with your grilled tri-tip are a really nice side salad that has a tangy vinaigrette. And I have a great recipe that has a warm balsamic vinaigrette over top. Super easy, super simple, and really delicious. Either garlic mashed potatoes or like a crispy cast iron potato or baked potatoes would be excellent. And then any kind of green vegetable like roasted broccoli, roasted asparagus, green beans, or in the summer, corn on the cob is perfect. But if you are looking in the fall, you might want to think about adding deviled eggs. Perfect side dish. So that does it for this episode. As always, I will link all of the recipes that I talked about in this episode right in the show notes for you. So until next time, I hope this episode of Let's Make Dinner makes your dinner time a little easier. See ya! All right, everybody, now is normally the time that I would do the double dip, but we are going to take a little bit of a break from the podcast. I think I'm going to take a couple months off here. I am focusing really heavily on video right now, which is consuming all of my time. So if you are enjoying these podcast episodes, I would really encourage you to go over and find me on YouTube and watch some of my actual videos so you can see my face, still learn about all the wonderful dinner recipes, tips, tricks, kitchen hacks, all of those things that help you feel really successful at dinner time. I also encourage you to sign up for our newsletter so that when I do start the podcast up again, that you will be notified of the latest episodes. So until then, hopefully I'll see you over on YouTube.